So one of the things that makes Vue very special is a feature of an awful lot of JavaScript frameworks. This is also true in React and Angular. And what it is it's the binding, the sort of automatic binding between properties on the data object in JavaScript and values that we're inserting into our HTML. Now, when you do this in standard JavaScript, you're finding a DOM element, manipulating its inner HTML, or maybe you're creating new DOM elements or replacing DOM elements using the nodes and so forth through the standard JavaScript API. What happens in Vue makes all of that stuff transparent and easy. So let's just take a look at what that looks like. I'm going to open up my console, and we're here in this JS fiddle, and it's simply got I've got a single variable name that I am using the double curly braces to insert into this HTML, and name is coming out of the data property in my Vue object, right? So I've initialized a Vue object. It's called named handler. I've determined that the element it's going to apply to has the ID of app, which is what we see in the HTML div ID equals app. And then we have a data property that has an object literal. It contains just one other property, and it's the name. And the name here appears as Albert. So if I wanted in my console to take a look at this, first I would grab the menu in the console and find the result pane of my JS fiddle. So now I can access the variables that are available in the result pane. And if I type names handler, I can see my Vue object. I can see, for example, the property name. Maybe I should use a better name for name. I'm going to call it first name. There we go. By doing that, we will be sure we're not looking at like the name property of a window or an HTML attribute. So if I do names handler, here's my Vue object, here's my first name, and it has the value Albert. So if I were to do names handler dot first name, we see Albert, and watch what happens if I change it. If I change it to, let's say, Larry. Look at the HTML up here in the top right pane in our JS fiddle, and as soon as I execute this line of code, which is assigning a new string to nameshandler.firstname, boom, the HTML changes. There's a whole DOM thing that happened there, kind of behind our backs, that we didn't have to worry about because all we had to do is change the property, and the HTML changes to match. Now, this really is fantastically powerful because what we're going to see as we look at Vue is, right now I'm rendering just a string, but I could have a list of things. The classic is the to-do list, or it could be any kind of a list. As I add things to the list, the HTML is going to grow all by itself, or if I take things out of the list in the data. So now I'm just manipulating the data, and the HTML is doing what it has to do to stay faithful to what the data shows. Think of the implications for this for form handling, and the implications of this for just dynamic data on the page. A framework like this that you can use very judiciously just for certain components on your page, or for that matter, you could build a whole application with it, puts an awful lot of power in your hands with less of the effort that you'd be putting in by doing DOM manipulation manually.